when she said that she was moving over here to West Virginia. I thought that, well, his family's going to be there, And when I came up here the first time, I'm like, this is what Michelle needs. She needs the quiet, the peace, and the quiet.
All smiles.
Smiles forever.
So, this is for you, Michelle. 1, 2, 3.
My favorite story from a Thanksgiving at my house was when Michelle and our friend Justin were getting really excited about me cleaning her shirt. She had spilled some wine on it. She was convinced that she just had to throw it away and that she was never going to be able to use it again. And I was like, no. I showed her how to use OxyClean. We put it in the OxyClean, it turned blue, and then it completely went away. We had a few glasses of wine, so it was a very exciting moment.
But asking if she was naked is a wonderful segue to our next.
That is a segue.
My 30th birthday, all the girls, all 5 of us were together in Kentucky, and we ended up at my parents' house. They have about a 30-acre farm with a pond down in the front of the house, and my parents had gone to bed, and we were up, and wine was flowing.
Common theme.
My parents told us, just be careful, stay away from the water. And Mom said that when they went to bed, one of them looked at the other and was like, you don't think they're gonna go get in the pond? And they decided, no, there's no way. Sure enough, we had decided that it was a really brilliant idea to jump in the pond, save Kelly, who just took pictures of the whole thing and documented it. And we were a mess. Yes. It came out the next morning. Mom said she just found a stream of clothing down to the water. I mean, it's not a cleaned out pond. It's muddy on the bottom. There were snapping turtles. It was the middle of the night. We had a really great time. There's a paddle boat involved. Yeah.
It was really good.
I actually met Michelle, I think it was in 2008. I went out to California to visit her and my Uncle Alan. Nobody from my family actually met her yet, besides my grandma. So my mom and everyone, they sent me out there with a notepad, basically. So I got to come back with the honor of telling everybody how great of a person Michelle was and how sweet she is.
Well, I think that the thing I remember most about Michelle is every time we would see her, whether we were going into their house or into the restaurant or they were coming to our house, was the big smile on her face all the time, and the way her eyes would light up when she would see you, and you knew that she was genuinely happy to see you, and it wasn't just, oh, it's my family. It was really like, oh, it's my family. And at the restaurant, she would drop everything and start introducing us to everyone, and just always made everyone feel real loved and special.
I think what captured Michelle for me was not last year, the year before last, we moved out of the house that we had lived in for 20 years, me, not Craig, a couple years, but and it was a really stressful day for me because I had 20 years worth of history in that house, and among other things. But then the movers, that was a nightmare. That made it even more stressful. But I was on the phone with them, and she on the phone with them in tears, kind of in despair.
Courtney got a hold of this moving company that was not very reputable at all. things started going south, Michelle took over. She started making the phone calls, and she got things moving.
And she just grabbed the phone out of my hand and was like, listen, you guys, and basically saved the day.
Michelle used to call me the mayor because of that social app Foursquare. A few of us regulars were always competing over the mayorship of Spicy Gringos, and I would cheat and go there on the days they were closed and log in. So I became the mayor. She changed a lot of opinions about the people of California.
She had that little bit of California crazy smile. And
I was always afraid to think of a Mexican breakfast. I says, you know, what can they do to it? And I went in and I had it, and it was delicious.
First time I met her, Bill, of course, went in and he says, Deb, you gotta try them, you gotta try them. And I said, you eat Mexican? You ate Mexican? You hate Mexican. So he took me in, he says, no, you gotta try it. So we went in, and I had just finished up with treatments, and of course, so I didn't have any hair or anything. I had my toboggan on and my bandana, and Michelle comes over to our table, and she's talking to, she says, so which one of you has cancer? And I said, oh, well, yeah, that would be me, and I mean, it was obvious, I'm sure she knew, but.
And it was around St. Patrick's Day, and she wore these big old green eyelashes. These green tinsel eyelashes, and they're like an inch long. They would just flap.
Her and her wonderful husband brought us out a big tray of burritos for us to munch on, all of the committee members, so that was great. So we thank you, Alan, for that. And she was just such an inspiration to all of us. And we were so thankful that they decided to, in lieu of flowers, donate the money to Relay for Life. And we're here today to celebrate your life. It's wonderful. You forever will be in our hearts. I smile every time I think of you. I look at that one picture, and it's of you smiling, and it just means the world to me. So we thank you for that. And we know you're up in heaven looking down on us, and we know you're going to shout at us at Relay every year. Committee, you want to shout out at Michelle? Give her a shout out. Michelle, we love you. We're thinking about you.
Michelle lived in California, and when Michelle came to West Virginia, she would not even kill a fly without saying, you gotta get rid of the flies. And so Michelle had this thing about her, she didn't want to hurt anything. Well, she got a mouse in the house. And she says, Mom, we got a mouse in the house. And I said, well, catch it and trap. She said, well, I don't want to kill it. I said, what are you going to do with it? And she said, well, can we catch it? I said, well, you can catch it if you want to. Where are you going to take it? To the neighbors? I don't think they want it. The next couple days goes by, and Michelle drags a dog home she found on the street. And I said, Michelle, honey, does it have a collar on it? She said, yes, and then it belongs to somebody that knows where it lives. Let it go home. Well, Mama was afraid to get hit with a car. So the thing that she impressed me was her big heart, her kindness. She was just such a lovely person, and today has proven that. She's not been in West Virginia that long, but look how many people she touched. So God put us in this world for a purpose, and today Michelle's purpose has been proven.
I didn't work at Spicy's for very long, but while I was there, I remember they did not have very many aprons. So my designated apron was Michelle's, and that was a very tight fit for me. And it had the little frills on the bottom and the flowers. I think I was wearing a very feminine dress, but I wore it well.
The previous year, Michelle had very kindly hosted Thanksgiving at her house, which meant we were at her house and I did all the cooking, which is fine. I love to cook. I'm not complaining about that. She wasn't really not a domestic goddess. Now she owns a restaurant, but my dad had come, and my dad's gay, and he can be a little pretentious, and he shows up with his own cloth napkin and his own plate, and basically, announces that he's not going to eat off of paper plates or use plastic silverware or a paper napkin.
Sorry, I missed
So,
this.
I mean, we're all fine with that, to be expected. In my father's defense, he's actually really awesome and down to earth in many other regards. So at the end of the evening, Michelle, we were all cleaning up, and she had this orange rug in her kitchen that had just been demolished with all the people coming through and the cooking and everything else. So she threw it in the wash, and at the end of the night, and there had been some wine, flowing, I believe. At the end of the night, she opens up the dryer and she's like, oh my God, and she just starts apologizing profusely because she's so sweet. She had put my dad's white linen napkin in with her orange carpet, and my dad's white linen napkin was now as pink could be. And my dad, of course, was like, oh, sweetie, it's even better now. And my dad still has that pink napkin.
Yeah, it was really good. Another good story from that particular weekend is when Michelle and Emma and Kelly all flew in to Kentucky.
Oh,
I flew in the night before, and Sydney and I started our celebration a little early. And we wound up having a little bit too much to drink, so when these girls flew in, it was an hour away, and Sydney had to drive to go pick them up. And we were both woken up the next morning to the phone ringing, and the girls were an hour away in Louisville waiting for Sydney to pick them up.
Oh, and like typical of Michelle, so we get there, and Kelly, Michelle, and I are sitting there, and I was like, I know what they did last night. They drank too much and they're asleep right now and they're not waking up. And Michelle was sitting there and she was like, no, they would never do that. And I was like,
and she was all concerned.
She was so worried. So here I am, livid. We had a red-eye flight. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I am cranky, I am tired, I am hungry, and I knew it was an hour drive, and I knew she was still in bed, and I knew we were going to be at that airport for at least another hour and a half. To the point where I was like, if they don't answer the phone, I'm calling Sydney's mother. And I'm getting her to come get us. And that would not have gone over well, let me tell you. But Michelle, the whole time, worried sick. She is ready to start calling the police, the hospitals, because something happened. I was right. I think Kelly was just giggling.
They were really kind to me.
So, bottom line is we're going to miss those Thanksgivings. We're going to miss all of those girls' nights. And we're so thankful that we had the opportunity to have Michelle in our lives.
I met Michelle, the first time I met Michelle was, I guess we came here to visit. They just moved to the area and had a party, big party, and I fell in love with Michelle instantly. Taken Alan a really long time to meet someone, and we had known Alan for years in San Diego in college, and we'd always tease him about just being so picky to find a girlfriend. And when I met Michelle, I just loved her. I could see why Alan fell in love with her, and she's one of the sweetest people I've ever met.
And they had a lot of fun together. She got tickets to baseball games down to the Padres, so they go to a lot of Padres games together, and Alan really likes to do that too. Really found someone that he could do just about everything he likes to do.
I flew here on Christmas Day to be with the two kids, and Michelle, said, "Mom," she's like, "why don't we drive to New York?" And I'm like, we had the best time. The best time. We went to a Broadway show. She showed me around. She took me to Central Park. I had my hot dog that I always wanted to do. So, I mean, I have some good memories of that. That was just,
Of course, we all have very funny stories and good things that happened, and Michelle was such a very important part of our life. And I think one of my fondest memories happened on March 3rd, when Michelle gave me the honor of inviting her to come to Christ. And that was an important moment, and she took that very seriously from that point forward and taught me so much, so very much. And through this whole entire journey of Michelle being carried from the West Coast back to the East Coast into the epicenter of care, I believe that God has had a hand in it.
I'm just grateful to have known her. She was a great person. Her and Alan both, they took me in, gave me a job, treated me like family.
One of our favorite times at Spicy Gringos is when a big group, we all came in, we'd been out the night before, and we
drank too much.
Yeah, we drank a little too much, and we came in, and we came in the next morning, and we were all like feeling kind of groggy, but oh my gosh, Michelle was just,
hungover.
Yeah, okay. And Michelle was just so upbeat, and she's, I like this song. She started singing.
She started singing the song.
Last Friday night.
Yeah.
And she was dancing around behind the bar. We were like the only people in there that morning, and she made us so much fun that morning, even though we like all felt kind of crappy.
Very crappy. I think it was the only time I ever didn't finish my food.
Yeah.
That song came on in the car.
In the car, as soon as I got in the car on the way home, that song came on.
Always just had this draw to Michelle because she was just one of those kind of people that loved everybody, always remembered your name. And the funny thing was, the first time I went, Michelle was not there. The second time I went, I walked through the door and she called me by my name. She had never even met me. And she called me by my name. So that just always impressed me. But she was, because I told him that he needed to go and meet these really, really nice people. And after he ate there, he said the food was wonderful. But you said, I believe it's a front.
A front for what?
For something. For something illegal. He said that it had to be a front for something because nobody's that nice.
Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
I think I remember saying that vaguely. Yeah, because they were really nice.
Yeah.
I didn't really believe it was a front for anything. I just like to talk about it.
He was making it funny. He's in law enforcement, so that's where his brain works that way.
One time we went shopping. I shanghaied her into going to a scrapbook store because she loved to scrapbook, and I did too. So we went to Wheeling and spent as much of our husband's money as we possibly could in one shot.
Loved her pink hair when she wore her pink hair, and she came in always smiling. She said, Mom, I want 4 ketchup hot dogs, 1 mustard hot dog with onions, and 1 boiled chili with onions, and a bag of barbecue chips, and a soda. And she said, I'll see you next week. And I loved that girl. She was a sweetheart. I have 9 kids of my own, but I can always gather up more. And she was one of them. I love you, girl.
I applied for a job, and my very first time walking in there was Michelle in her little pink wig, and you walk in and her smile, it just lit up the restaurant. I didn't even know her then, and she just already seemed like a sweetheart. And she just interviewed me right there on the spot, and she seemed wonderful. And then I got the job, and I started working there, and she trained me, and she seemed lovely. And working for her was just amazing, and she's really gonna be missed. She was a sweetheart. She was wonderful. And
it's like what happened was, he delivered food for my husband's 30th birthday party, and when he did that, when he delivered the food, he pulled up to the house and he says, "Oh my gosh!" And I said, "What?" He said, "I had every holiday in this house when I was young. And this is one of my relatives' house." And he said, "I can't get over it." So we kind of took him for a tour inside, and I said, "So the porch," and so I told him he can come and sit anytime. I said, "This porch, it's a huge porch. It's got a great view, and it's so relaxing." And so I told him, I said, "Anytime you guys want to sit on this porch, I don't care if we're not home. Just come up, turn the fan on, sit down, relax." Because it's such a peaceful atmosphere, and it's that same kind of vibe that I get. I go down to Spicy's. It's just a nice, warm, caring, compassionate atmosphere, and I love that. I love it about my porch. I love it about Spicy's.
You can see where Michelle gets her kindness from.
She's just like her mother.
Yep. We all met at the restaurant, and it was her mom. Felt like I had known her forever, just like Michelle. Her spirit. And
she's fun. She's oblivious.
Always give you a hug. Happy to see you. Was threatened to put an apron on her and make her work and sweep up at the place.
It was the bestest friend ever, to us.
And the spirit's still there. Again, people still come in. That which she has built with Alan, people still come in. Strangers talk to one another. It's not like that's just disappeared overnight, and that's I think part of her lasting legacy. So we're happy to be a part of that.
Sometimes I would just go into Spicy Gringos just to talk to Michelle, because her bad days were so much worse than my bad days. And every time I walked through that door, she just smiled at me. And there were days that I felt like I couldn't smile. And there wasn't a day that went by when she didn't. No matter what.
Just, cancer may have taken Michelle, but she did not let it beat her. She actually defeated cancer the way she lived to the end. I praise God every day for allowing me to have people like Michelle and Alan and Michelle's mom, Pauline, and everyone at Spicy Gringos in my life. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this Michelle-abration. And thank you more for celebrating her life rather than crying about her death. That we all lost a great friend and a great person. But like I said, I'm going to rejoice in the life she lived because she brought smiles to everyone. And she brought a lot of people together that normally wouldn't have come together. Thank you.
I think if you wanted to clone people and make this a better world, that would be the model to clone from, because she was that kind of person. I would say 90-some% of the people that's going to say, you know, what do you remember about Michelle? It's that smile and that impact that she has on you when she looks at you and smiles. And I'll never forget that. Alan, I want to tell you, you're a special guy, and she deserved you, really. She deserved a person like you. So, man, you've got nothing but the greatest memories in the world, and you guys were a sweet couple.
And the celebration today has been absolutely the way Michelle would have wanted it. Everything has been perfect. All of the connections that have been made here at this celebration will continue on. So from the West Coast to the East Coast, dance, baby, dance.